Europe's most wanted terrorist has been wiped off the face of the earth. The Berlin truck attacker was killed in dramatic shootout with Italian police overnight. A live report from Germany straight ahead. But first, to a new tweet from President-elect Donald Trump. It's got everyone talking about it, this one raising a lot of questions about his nuclear ambitions for America. On Twitter, he wrote, quote, "The United States must greatly strengthen and expand its nuclear capability until such time as the world comes to its senses regarding nukes," end quote. An expansion would break with a decades-long policy to reduce atomic stockpiles. Here was incoming Press Secretary Sean Spicer on the subject this morning.
Russia, China, and others are talking about expanding their nuclear capability. And his point, which I think a lot of people are leaving off at the end of that tweet, is unless they come to their senses. And I think countries need to know that under a Donald Trump presidency, business as usual is over. He's going to act. He's going to protect America. And if they increase their nuclear capability, America will act.
Mr. Trump is reportedly open to an arms race, according to an off-camera interview he did this very morning with another cable channel. So how is Russia responding? President Vladimir Putin shrugged it off today.
Regarding the newly elected President Trump, there is nothing new. He was saying during his campaign about the importance of strengthening the nuclear aspect of the United States, about the strengthening of military forces. There is nothing unusual.
So, Greg, we see Vladimir Putin saying, no big deal.
Well, you know what? Can I address the whole idea of tweeting? Donald Trump is an addict, but he's not addicted to drugs or alcohol. He's addicted to tweeting. I know, because I'm an addict too. I understand what he's going through. People say it's an awesome communication device. Oh, everything. But they say it's an awesome communication device. But I don't think that's why he does it. I don't think it's for us. I think it's for him. To him, it's like a video game predicated on attention. So he'll send out a tweet to see what he gets back in return. It really is like playing a video game, and he's always trying to beat his previous score. Like maybe he'll get 27,000 retweets when he says this about Hillary, but maybe he'll get 50,000 retweets if he says this about Russia. So it's to him, I think he's always trying to get better. And we have to wonder, will we suffer from Donald Trump tweeting exhaustion in a couple of years if he keeps doing this? Because we react every single time because it's news.
Just a quick follow-up with you. You realize he's going to be president of the United States.
Right. And we don't know if this is for real or his opening bid. I mean, is he going to become the boy who cried bluff?
Well, so that's why I want to ask Eric, because Eric, we both know a lot of the players here. But so Sean Spicer goes on here and says, business as usual is over. If other countries act to increase their nuclear supplies, the United States is going to respond. But then Jason Miller, who's the communications director, says, wait, no. All Donald Trump is trying to say is, we don't want the threat of nuclear proliferation to get out of control. And so he's laying a marker down and saying, don't do that.
Are you confused?
Yes.
Success. There it is. Donald Trump achieved what he wants. He wants to keep everyone off guard, on their heels.
Even his own staff?
Not just one. Well, no, his own staff. They know what believe me.
But Spicer has a different message.
Do you think Sean Spicer and Jason Miller didn't know the other ones was going to say exactly what they're going to say? Here's the deal.
Okay.
Donald Trump made this comment, very provocative comment. The world took it, ran with it. The left goes, oh my God, the end of the world's coming. World War III, nuclear proliferation, we're all dead. And then they start playing with this with us. Hey, this is what he means. This is what he means. Juan, you're confused. I think world leaders are confused. And for once, I'm thrilled that the world doesn't know what we're about. Instead of Barack Obama, who was anti-nuclear, anti-war, anti-everything, and anti-confrontational to the point where we were being walked over by other countries. I love this idea.
But I also think, I believe that this is posturing from President-elect Trump, because I think what he's seeing, Russia act more aggressively, Iran act more aggressively, China act more aggressively. Wasn't Russia, Putin was just recently talking about strengthening their nuclear arms. So I think this is him flexing America's muscle and, sort of laying that marker down. We're also going to see a marked departure under President-elect Trump than the foreign policy we saw from President Obama. We already saw that just recently with him taking the call from the president of Taiwan as well. And it wasn't that long ago when Hillary Clinton was the one that was trying to reset relations with Russia, because I know Donald Trump has also been hit recently for the exchange with Vladimir Putin recently. It wasn't that long ago they were trying to reset relations. Also, you look at the fact that the media essentially gave a free pass to President Obama with his Iran deal, which failed to really sink teeth in trying to stop Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Meanwhile, we gave them everything, with giving them $100 billion in sanction relief, while simultaneously removing trade restrictions as well. So,
well, Lisa, let me just pick up on something Eric was talking about with Jillian, because Jillian, is this how the left, as Eric was saying, is sort of bollocksed by all this? I mean, is this how an arms race starts? And also, Eric says it's a good thing our enemies are confused. I'm wondering, is it really a good thing to have world leaders confused about U.S. policy with regard to nuclear weapons?
It's not. I actually think it's quite dangerous. I think that there's something to be said for not broadcasting certain types of U.S. foreign policy plans, say battle plans and the like. But I think that one of the major complaints that our allies around the world have had throughout the course of this administration, I don't think you're going to come across anyone who's going to tell you that foreign policy was a strength of the current administration. Part of that reason is that even our closest allies are confused by us, meaning we renege on a lot of commitments that we make around the world. We renege on a lot of engagement that has traditionally been going on.
Under
I
Obama.
fear that President Trump is going to pull us back from those types of things further. I do agree with Lisa that I don't think that this is a lot more than President-elect Trump flexing his muscle at the outset. Newsflash to everyone, if you didn't know already, most traditional U.S. foreign policies that we've got are going to be reversed very quickly. And so this is him kind of giving the flare signal that he's starting. He's going to come out of the gate running on this. He wants to try and backtrack on a lot of these things as soon as he can, or escalate.
So Putin says, you know what, I'm responding to the fact that the U.S. missile defense is now more secure than ever, and I want stronger nukes. And then Trump responds to Putin. Is that what's going on here?
Well, it has been a little bit of this escalation, which that's part of their personal dynamic. I don't know that once President Trump is dealing with President Putin as a counterpart, as a foreign head of state, this is going to go down in the same way. Remember, he's got a lot more flexibility and freedom right now because he's not sitting in the Oval Office.
What's your concern? What's your concern? We had 3,000 people killed at the World Trade Center. We had a plane fly into the Pentagon. We had another plane that was attempted to probably headed for the White House go down, and we never used a nuclear weapon. We could have. There have been plenty of opportunities, but peace through strength. Ronald Reagan coined the term, and why not tell the world we are going to be the strongest on the planet?
I think there's a nostalgia. We're experiencing a nostalgia for a simpler time before jihad, when the big boys had the big toys. And I think that there is one avenue here. We're living in a different time where historically an adversary like Russia we would look askew at now might unite together under the apocalyptic threat of Islam. You know, Putin has a lot of flaws. USSR, before it became Russia, had a lot of flaws. Millions died under Stalin. But Putin's not going to blow up the world. Putin does not adhere to an apocalyptic promise of 72 virgins. So he just wants to live and make Russia as powerful as possible, and there's a flaw in that. But when you're comparing evil and evil, sometimes your enemy becomes your friend when dealing with something as crazy as Islamism.
But see, real quick, what's worse though? President-elect Trump sending out a tweet, sort of laying down the marker, and I think trying to sort of flex his muscle a little bit, or a deal like the Iran deal, which for a lot of accounts is an abysmal failure and really sets the groundwork and the failed policy more substantially than a tweet does. So I think that's the point I was trying to make earlier, is the Iran deal by comparison is much worse, but people barely blinked an eye.
Well, let me just quickly say, what about the cost? It would be billions of dollars at a time when President-elect Trump says he wants to cut spending, right, and cut tax. Now you're going to say, "Oh, here's some billions."
The liberals worry about the price tag.
Right. Isn't that an inconsistency?
All of a sudden, there's a cost.
No, you can pick on me, but isn't that an inconsistency?
No, I think there's nothing inconsistent about Donald Trump. He said we're going to build the strongest military. In fact, he wanted to pull all the sequester clamps that we had on the military spending. He said he wants to re-strengthen all our military.
But it's also not the first time he said this on nukes either. Remember, a year ago he was talking about when he was interviewed, I forget who he was talking to, but they said, would you remove the threat of using a nuclear weapon against our Western European allies? Would you take that option off the table? And he said no.
He said,
people
certainly
freaked
said no.
out at the time. This is not the first time he said something like incendiary about our nuclear capability.
Wow.
So
But
it's kind of part of a
he said
pattern.
yesterday he said, you know what, we want to cut spending, Boeing, Lockheed. Now all of a sudden the spending, that's why I raised the question. It's not
Wasteful spending. He doesn't
Well,
see,
I don't know if
he
this
doesn't
is
see
wasteful.
spending money on our military as wasteful spending if it's spent in the right way.
And one last note, Putin had a long press conference today in which he said the Democrats need to learn how to lose with dignity.
Yep.
Coming up, I'll let you laugh at that one. Coming up, a massive global manhunt for the Berlin truck attacker is over. Europe's most wanted terrorist dead. How authorities caught up with him and took him down. Next, in a live report from Berlin.
The worldwide manhunt for the Berlin truck terrorist is over. 24-year-old Anis Amri was killed in a shootout overnight in Milan, and a video surfaced of the jihadi pledging allegiance to ISIS. Details now from Fox's Greg Palcott live in Berlin. Give us the latest, Greg.
Eric, we are learning more, but there are more questions following the killing of 24-year-old Tunisian man Anis Amri, the Berlin truck attacker. Officials are trying to figure out how Amri made that 600-mile trip from Berlin to Milan via France. Borders are supposed to be tightened up, but they're also open. However, he did it. He got there while he was the most wanted man in Europe, gunned down by a routine police foot patrol in Milan. That video release just underscoring the apparent close ISIS connection to the attacker. The release time just after he was killed. And finally, the big question, whether he had support of an ISIS network and how he was able to operate in Germany for 18 long months before the attack. Critics say he took advantage of a German immigration policy that had swamped officials to deadly effect. Eric.
Thank you, Greg, very much. President-elect Donald Trump tweeted about the Berlin attacker a short time ago saying, quote, the terrorist who killed so many people in Germany said just before crime, by God's will, we will slaughter you pigs. I swear we will slaughter you. This is a purely religious threat, which turned into reality. Such hatred, when will the U.S. and all countries fight back? Now, Julian, let's talk a little bit about what this terrorist did. Amri, he was a Tunisian who killed 12 people in Berlin and then traveled to France and then over to Italy. Part of the problem is that those wide open borders.
Absolutely. The Schengen visa countries are wide open. Once you penetrate one of the countries, you kind of have free reign. You can go wherever you'd like, and it's very hard for the EU to monitor you. But what's amazing to me about this guy is the fact that he was not supposed to be in the country anyway. He was somebody who had been denied safe haven inside Germany, but they were actually unable to deport him because of this sort of administrative holdup, which was the fact that he didn't have a passport. So the idea being, it's great that you've decided you want to extradite this person from the country, but you have to have a willing recipient country. And so as long as he didn't have this passport, they couldn't get rid of him. So he was stuck inside the country, which is when he committed this heinous crime.
And Greg, in another country, 3 charged foil plot to attack Melbourne, Australia on Christmas.
Yeah. First off, I feel really bad for this guy. Right now, he's finding out that the 72 versions are sheep. It could be a big problem for him. I'm glad you brought up the Australian plot because 4 of the 5 plotters were born there, so extreme vetting wouldn't have stopped them. So now you have the two parts of the table of terror. One, you've got the ISIS-trained attack, which is Berlin. Then you have longer-term cells that patiently wait. The third is the homegrowner, which is the 4 of the 5. And then you have the cultural shift towards kind of a darker, primitive way of thinking over the long term. So you have to look at terror that way, that you will have homegrown. You'll have people who cross borders. It's just not enough to say extreme vetting. You got to look at where this toxic doctrine infiltrates, and it hits people who were born there too.
Your thoughts, Mr. Wan?
I was struck by just reading about him that he'd been in jail in Italy 4 years for setting fires. I mean, clearly he's only
24.
24. So he's been in jail and in trouble from the time he was a teen, disconnected from his family. But the thing that really strikes home is, 2, picking up on Jillian's point, 1, crossing the border so easily, and secondly, if he's poor and no jobless, how is he getting money to move around? So then I'm thinking back, he must have some connection, right? I mean, that's like a red flag, right?
I would say it was
a lot of red flags.
Red as my tie.
Go ahead, Lisa, your thoughts.
Well, I think as everyone's kind of laying out, sort of what this does is pinpoint the complexities that we face as a world, really, in fighting terrorism. The fact that this guy had, multiple names, coming from at least 3 different nationalities in the various documents that he had. The fact that he was on the radar of the United States, of Germany, with suspected ties to ISIS. And it also really puts a spotlight on immigration policies. You look at a country like Germany that has let in more than 1 million migrants, and you just go back the past few months, and there's, suicide bomb out of a wine restaurant, a Syrian refugee hacking a pregnant woman in July, an Afghani refugee hacking a passenger on a train in July. You heading into the New Year's Eve, you have the mass rapes that happened in Cologne, Germany. And so it really puts a spotlight. And I think what is interesting is Angela Merkel recently promised to re-examine those policies. And I think this is also going to re-engage Donald Trump as well.
1,000 refugees have already opened up shop in Germany. Does Angela Merkel survive this?
I don't know. It's tough because she was trying to placate kind of the liberal, guilt-ridden feeling that our country has, as Dana was talking about, post-Nazi Germany, to say that we aren't like this anymore. So she bent over backwards, and now she's probably going to pay for it. But the urgent threat is the marriage of apocalyptic terror with apocalyptic technology. It's not just about the fact that they want you dead. It's that they have a better means of making you dead.
So it's not jobs and climate change. It's inspiring this.
Well, but even Greg sort of hit this a little bit a minute ago. It's not just about the refugees, right? Germany has a real problem with this issue anyway. There's literally hundreds of German citizens who have traveled to Syria over the past 2 years to join ranks with ISIS. They've trained, and dozens of them are already back in the country. So even if you take the refugees, the 750,000 of them out of the equation, Germany is still vulnerable, and that's something else Merkel's going to have to contend with.
I wonder if any of those trainees are going to make their way to ours. We're taking a lot of refugees. I got to go there Tuesday night, guys. Ahead, next on the 5. It's no secret President-elect Trump's had a contentious relationship with the media. Will he do away with press briefings when he takes office? His newly tapped press secretary answers that question next. And later, Facebook Friday, the Christmas edition.
Yes.
Post your questions at facebook.com/5FNC. Make them good. Back in a minute.
It was a repeated pledge made on the campaign trail by candidate Trump.
When we win on November 8th, we are going to Washington and we will drain the swamp. So true.
So true. On Wednesday, Trump advisor Newt Gingrich said that President-elect Trump has moved on from that slogan.
I'm told he now disclaims that. He now says it was cute, but he doesn't want to use it anymore. Maybe he feels that as president, as the next president of the United States, that he should be marginally more dignified than talking about alligators and swamps.
Well, Mr. Trump was not happy about that. He chided Newt, tweeting at someone incorrectly stated that the phrase "drain the swamp" was no longer being used by me. Actually, we will be always using DTS. And that led to this public apology from Gingrich.
I want to report that I made a big boo-boo. I talked this morning with President-elect Donald Trump, and he reminded me. He likes draining the swamp. I mischaracterized it the other day. He intends to drain the swamp. He thinks taking on Boeing and the price is an example of draining the swamp. And so I want all of you to know I goofed. Draining the swamp is in. The alligators should be worried. When I make a mistake, I'm going to be straightforward and tell you I blew that one.
So let's talk about that boo-boo. Eric, do you think that, are you happy with the steps that Donald Trump has taken to drain the swamp so far?
Well, I don't know, but I love the fact he's going to stay with drain the swamp. I mean, it was a huge cry at his event, drain the swamp.
Or DTS.
DJT will DTS, and I think he's going to stick with that.
That's confusing.
I like those acronyms. Greg, what do you make of this?
Newt got neutered. It's kind of scary how lockstep everybody has to be. Yeah. Like, if you step out of line, it's not good. It's like you can't even disagree. And also, I don't find it attractive hearing an older man say boo-boo.
Oh, no.
It sounds a bit weird, it's like a medical issue. I left a big boo-boo. I don't know.
It's terrible.
But, yeah,
like
it does bother me.
Yeah.
Although, I give Newt credit for being Newt.
But you could forgive him for thinking that he wasn't going to say drain the swamp anymore, because Donald Trump himself said in November at a rally, I think in North Carolina, that he didn't even like it, and he only started using it once he kind of said it inadvertently, and then it took off. So I don't really understand why the apology was necessary.
Well,
Juan,
here's the bigger problem. Corey Lewandowski said, at about the same time, it's going to be a low priority, this drain the swamp. Now, let's stop and think about what's going on here. Donald Trump has named billionaires to his cabinet, a lot of Goldman Sachs people, people who've been lobbyists, right? All the generals that he was putting down. So how has he drained the swamp?
The swamp is Wall Street. I keep telling you, Juan.
He's hiring
He's hiring.
Yes,
he's hiring. You misread him.
I'm glad you're here because I really, goes back to the first thing. I was confused.
The other slogan. The other slogan I liked even better.
We're going to get to, the president.
But he says now he's not going to lock her up.
Unruly. Okay, the president-elect also railed against the so-called dishonest media a lot on the campaign trail. And yesterday, incoming White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer gave his first interview to Fox News after being tapped for the job. He addressed how the administration was likely going to deal with the press.
The press has a right to go out and write stories and communicate things. But I think similarly in what Donald Trump has proven, both as a candidate and now as a president-elect, is that when people are wrong, he's going to hold them accountable and he's going to correct the record.
You had hinted with Megyn Kelly on this program last week, maybe daily press briefings aren't needed. Are you going to do away with those?
It's not a question of getting rid of certain things, or maybe we add certain things.
So will there be daily press briefings?
I believe that we'll have daily briefings, but maybe we add an element to them. Maybe not everything's on camera. Maybe we bring more people into the process. There's an amazing group of folks.
Greg, what do you think about this potential changing up sort of the daily interactions with the media?
I've never seen a guy work so hard before his official job has started. Man, Sean has hit the ground running. We're missing the big story here. Did you hear why Bob Corker didn't get the Secretary of State job? Because he was short. Did you see this? So Donald Trump was concerned that at 5'7", he couldn't be Secretary of State, even though Churchill was 5'7", Gandhi was 5'4", James Madison was 5'4", Putin was, but you know who wasn't? Who was tall? Bin Laden. Bin Laden was 6'4".
Sensing some real anger here.
I have a theory.
See, you are a journalist.
Yes.
You're really good at answering the questions you want to answer.
If Bin Laden had been shorter, Rob O'Neill probably wouldn't have shot him in the head.
Ooh.
And he would be alive. So, yeah.
Eric, what do you think about this?
I think, listen, if Juan asked the question, what about Jason Miller? What about Hope Hicks? What about Dan Scavino? And what about Sean Spicer? Look, this is not a derogatory comment. This is a new world in media. Donald Trump is a media empire himself. You need a team of people getting out there and talking about what his initiatives are going to be. And he tweets. So I think they're all, we are, and they are all figuring out what's going to go forward. And Greg is right. Sean is working harder than he probably thought he was going to have to work from day one, but he's very capable.
No vacation.
Jillian?
So Sean also said that the president-elect, when he's president, is going to make sure that he corrects the record. So I would posit, if I was advising President Trump, you can either spend 4 years setting the record straight and correcting journalists when you think that they've said something mistaken about you, or you can be the president. That's actually supposed to be Sean Spicer's job. So I think that that's a little misguided. The idea that the president is going to be personally involved in punching back at journalists.
He has benefited by vilifying the press, and I think that he wants to continue to do that. So he goes around the press with the tweeting and the rallies. And now I think as you get to Washington, you know, it's more of a structure where you're held accountable on a daily basis. I like Sean Spicer's ideas, by the way, maybe more off camera. I remember when I used to be White House correspondent, we just go into the press secretary's office, things would be settled, things to talk about before you get on camera, and certain things are said that or not said.
That's the swamp.
And that's not the swamp.
Sure,
because it leads to stories, Eric, and in more of a confidence.
If you're talking about what you're going to ask a press secretary, and they tell you.
No. That's not what I'm saying. No, by the way, this goes way back. People ask questions, and questions get set up. All administrations, but because the administration wants to protect itself in front of the camera, and especially when the president is there in a press conference. And by the way, when's the last time Donald Trump held a press conference?
Ooh, a long time ago.
I wonder, maybe we should check with Hillary Clinton.
There's going to be a big press conference
coming up.
I feel like this is getting out of hand.
This is
all right. Up next, a Clinton supporter harasses Ivanka Trump and her family on a flight that was about to take off from New York City. The heckler was ejected from the plane. We'll tell you about what happened when the 5 returns.
Yesterday, Ivanka Trump and her family boarded a flight out of New York to head to Hawaii for Christmas vacation. There was turbulence even before takeoff when an anti-Trump lawyer heckled the president-elect's daughter, reportedly claiming her father is ruining the country, and jeered at her 3 small children. He and his husband were ejected from the jet. The husband practically confirmed earlier on Twitter that there was a plan to harass Ivanka and family before boarding. So the first thing I thought when I was reading this earlier, I don't know about you guys, is where on earth was her security detail? I thought that the entire Trump family, to include young and older children, since the primaries had Secret Service detail.
Yeah, they do.
So where are these guys?
No, they're there, but Secret Service doesn't protect you just because somebody says
They're disguised as the seats.
No, but if the reports that he was like heckling and he kind of got aggressive,
this is where you people go off the rails. First of all, I don't think this is not about the children. Everybody's the children, and her husband was there, and all the guy said was that her father's ruining the country. In fact, his argument after JetBlue threw him out was, hey, why are you throwing me out for simply expressing my opinion? I just think
because he's a putz.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's an a-hole.
Good with that.
Can I tell you what I learned and what I love about this story is that social networks are good because people confess their crimes as they occur. So while this guy's going, his husband is saying, "Oh, there he goes. He's going to go." So you got nailed, and he tried to delete it, but it was too late. And also, Twitter has trained people to be jerks. He thought that he could use the same behavior that he uses on Twitter in real life. It doesn't work that way. You can't be what you could be online. You can't be in person. So you paid the price. And they were also mad at the Trumps because they were a flying coach. Yeah. It's like, what kind of jerks are you? You're mad at them because they're rich, and then you're mad at them for being in coach. Go screw yourself.
I think this is actually, I disagree with you vehemently. Why? This is disgusting. These people are horrible people for doing what they did. And it is about the children. It's about Ivanka's children who are there, and also the child that one of them was holding while this guy was being a jerk.
Yeah.
So it's four kids who are exposed. The husband was holding their kid while the other idiot was berating Ivanka Trump.
You are just trying to hammer this nail.
Juan, next time you're on a flight going back to D.C., can you imagine someone heckling you and harassing you?
Jesse Waters.
It happens to Lisa on Amtrak all the time.
It happens to you all the time.
Just for the record, by the way, when you're on a flight with three young kids, all you want to do is get the kids in the seat and get in the air and get to the other side.
Why are you standing up for this guy? This guy is such a jerk.
I'm not standing. I think I agreed with what Greg said, but I just don't agree with the idea that, she is so fragile. You can't say something.
Nobody says she's fragile. She's a strong businesswoman. But the point being is the fact that this guy, according to his husband, identified that he was going to go after Ivanka Trump and attack her. He tweeted out and connected Donald Trump, said that he was the vanity of evil, which has Nazi connotations to it. I mean, this guy is insane. That he attacked her on the plane with her kids nearby.
What was the word in the tweet? Did he say he was going to harass her?
He's a jerk.
Yeah, he said, my husband's off to go harass her.
And JetBlue did a phenomenal job kicking this guy off the plane.
Well, all right, so what did he do? Did he use profanity? I didn't hear any report. Did he say something that the children's delicate hears?
What did Ivanka do? She did nothing. Jared Kushner stood there and they stayed back and they composed themselves and they got. In fact, fortunately, they got these idiots off.
Hats off to Ivanka, who said, "I don't want to make a big deal out of this."
She's a
but you guys want to make this like the end of the earth. Oh my God!
We're just saying he's a jerk. How can you not?
Perhaps if it wasn't Ivanka and it was a Muslim cleric, it would be far different.
Or how's this? If it was a gay couple who was being harassed, we would be going ballistic. The left would be going, can you believe the intolerance of a Trump supporter? If it was a Trump supporter harassing a gay couple, think about that for 1 second.
He really demonstrated
who has a reputation for bullying behavior.
No, just forget about who has a reputation. But you tell me that wouldn't be blowing up all over the world.
Because guess what? The Trump people have a reputation for this kind of behavior.
Still, the story is that they were on JetBlue. That's the story. The Trumps were flying JetBlue.
You're burying the lead.
That's the lead.
But don't you think there should be, again, we're on an airplane, right? We're not walking down the street. If someone wants to walk up to Ivanka Trump and get in her face and yell at her, I feel like there's a higher threshold for that out in public. When you're on an airline, everyone's vulnerable.
It is literally not a safe space.
They kick people off planes all the time who are doing much less, like being drunk or like, I don't know, you hear these stories about women getting kicked off because they're wearing short skirts.
I think we have a unanimous verdict here on that one, that JetBlue was right to push him off.
I'm just glad Juan's not in charge of who gets on the plane.
There was no way you could pick him.
Now, Juan,
a bunch of jerks there.
Juan is pretty strict about who gets on planes.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. All right.
Ask NPR. I couldn't resist it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, don't go away because Facebook Friday, the Christmas edition, is next. You're not going to want to miss it.
Facebook Friday, Christmas edition. But first, a programming note. Set your DVRs for this Monday. You'll want to catch our Christmas special. We'll be opening presents and all that stuff. 5 p.m. Eastern. Okay, now to our questions. We'll go this way, Jillian. This way from Joe T. What was your favorite toy as a child or best Christmas present as a kid that had the biggest influence?
Gem.
What's that?
100% Gem.
What is it?
It's a doll. There was even a movie last year called Gem and the Hologram.
It was supposed to be terrible. The movie was terrible.
I didn't see it. I'm going to see it on Netflix.
Yes.
But now, if you want to experience Gem, you can just log on to eBay and buy one from like the 80s when I was a kid for $500.
Wow, $500? That's all.
It? Oh, that's
I'll get to.
Run, don't walk. Yeah.
It'd probably be worth like $1,000 in 3 years.
Exactly. It's a good investment, really.
Eric, did you?
Well, it was the Rubik's Cube until it became too easy for me. I'm kidding. Look, I'm a geek. It was basketball. I was 24/7 basketball or my bike. That's all I cared about. I was playing hoops and riding my bike.
Juan, did you have toys growing up?
Simple needs.
You know, not a lot.
Asylum, they kept you in.
Yeah, the asylum. It's kind of a difficult question for me because my mom didn't believe in gifts, and so I really didn't dig it. And but other relatives would do things like shirts, and I just thought, well, I want toys.
Yeah. How about you, Lisa?
My parents love.
I
do love them, but no,
peace.
definitely.
Save that for Fox and Friends.
Definitely a Barbie mobile. It taught me everything I needed to know about driving.
Yeah, Dana got one and could actually drive it. It's pretty amazing.
Oh.
Do you know weirdest book and weirdest present? My parents got me the People's Almanac. Do you remember that book?
Yeah.
It was just like this big. It was called People's Almanac, and my parents didn't look at it that there was a whole definition of sexual terms in there.
Oh, no.
And so they gave it to me when I was 7, and I learned everything.
So that's what happened.
Yes. Yes, what a mistake that was. Genevieve, we'll start this way. C asks, what Christmas movie is your favorite and least favorite?
I like Elf. Because I like sugar, and that's something that I share with the main character. Least favorite? I don't know if there's a least favorite.
Oh, come on. Love Actually.
I like that movie.
Worst film ever made, but that's for me.
Well, I don't know if do you guys like that movie?
You know, Love
Actually?
Actually was made by Satanists. It's totally a satanic film.
When you put it that way.
One of the guys, I've never seen this movie because you say it's horrible, so I don't see it. But one of the guys in it is the guy from Walking Dead, Rick from Walking Dead.
Really?
One of my favorite actors on the planet.
Satanist. Walking Dead, it all comes together.
When you put it that way.
And one of the actors passed away last year, which was sad.
Way to bring it down. Hey, can we just go do this in order? All right? And you can save your stories for later. Juan?
Well, I mean, there are two that I just think are classics I like to watch. Wonderful Life, right? That's a great one. And then Miracle on 34th Street with the whole idea of Santa, going against the establishment and saying, let's go to the
That's the way you look at it.
I do. I like it a lot.
Santa's a revolutionary because he's in red.
Yes.
It's like your commie tie.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
I think it's
they depress me.
Yes,
Christmas movies make me sad. I don't know why I can't watch them except for Bad Santa. I love that.
Yeah, that's a great film. That's a great
that's
film.
a good one.
Great film. What about you? Best, worst?
I'm tied on best between Home Alone
Good.
and Meet Me in St. Louis, which is not really a Christmas movie, but there's an amazing Christmas scene in there when Judy Garland sings "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas," and it's like I can't even. I can't. I know that's one of the most annoying words of the year, expressions of the year. I can't, but I just said it.
All right.
Those are my two favorites.
Obviously, the worst one is Love Actually, which I've talked about it at length on the show. My favorite one is Deliverance. At the end, you appreciate life. They're sitting around the table, and John Voight starts crying, and that's really what the holidays are about: is surviving the holidays, being there, having some food with some strangers.
Great music too.
Oh, the music is amazing.
Did you see
SNL
with the Love Actually spoof last week?
No, I don't.
You
watch
have
that
to Google that.
It's past
Just
my
Google
bedtime.
it. You don't
All right. Ooh, this is from Facky.
I know Facky.
Do you?
Yeah, he's great.
All right.
Hi, Facky.
I'll start with Juan. What is your favorite Christmas song?
Yeah, actually, the New York Times had a piece about this recently. Do you know Dan Fogelberg's song? It's something like Old Lang Syne. And it's about meeting an old girlfriend in the grocery store on Christmas Eve. And it turned out the song was true.
Oh, my God, Juan.
This guy died, and he really had gone to the, and he was a rock star, and they run into each other, and she's like, yeah, hey, well,
And then how did it end?
They were drinking a six-pack in her car.
Well, the rock star, you can do that, right? Just go pick up anybody. What about you?
By the way, before we go, I love, Phil Spector's in jail, I think.
Of course.
Right? But Phil Spector's Christmas album is my favorite. This is The Wall of Sound. That's
of course, a liberal would like a murderer's album.
Oh, there we go.
Lisa?
I like Oh Holy Night, but I'm also going to say Baby It's Cold Outside, just because people's heads are exploding about somehow now it's like a rape.
Yeah.
Like a rapey song.
Yeah.
Christmas song, and people can't enjoy it anymore, apparently.
Yeah. I just don't like the song in general, but it had nothing to do with that.
Why don't you like it?
I don't know. It's a man and a woman singing?
Yes.
I don't like that.
I don't get how it's a rapey song.
Well,
they're saying because he
is leaving her. She's outside.
No,
he's trying to get her to come inside.
He's trying to get her to come inside.
It's a seduction.
I find it offensive.
Oh, you
Actually, people are offended by it now.
We got to move this to. What's your favorite Christmas song?
I think I'm going to go with "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas."
That's nice.
Because I'm boring, and I said that a minute ago.
Don't like them. Don't like any of them.
Yeah.
My wife singing them is kind of cool, but I just don't like them.
What is wrong with
I don't know.
You're a Grinch.
I hate your White Christmas is about cocaine. It's terrible. I'm gonna go. My
Brent just
favorite
ruins everything.
My favorite Christmas song is the theme from Deliverance. So there you go. All right.
Sorry to ruin that joke for you.
No, it just made me think of it. This is from Diane G. What was the worst Christmas gift you ever received, Jillian?
I got the boot one Christmas. I got broken up with. That was my worst Christmas.
You were
Really?
dumped on Christmas?
Yeah, it was. I was in college. It was really unfortunate.
What was his reason?
Yeah, really.
I don't care to repeat it.
Really? Where is he now? Do you laugh at him?
I don't know where he is.
See? That's
I
You
don't
should
know.
say hi to him right now.
We have not communicated.
He's probably
since
in
then.
jail. Probably.
I hope so.
Yeah.
He deserves. If he's not in jail, he deserves.
He's probably
to
in
be in jail.
ISIS. Eric?
The worst Christmas gift I ever got. I don't know. Can you help me out here?
I don't know. I was just trying to think. I mean, I'm a positive person. I don't want to hear Greg's questions like that. He doesn't like Christmas. You don't like Christmas music. Now they want to know your worst gift. Oh my God.
I know these two are really just like, I was so excited about Christmas.
Actually, I can't.
Bah humbug.
The greatest day of the year for me is January 1st, because these holidays are done, and we can just start over.
Christmas.
Kate, don't you remember as a kid how you hated getting clothing?
Yeah,
That was the
that's
worst
what
thing
I
ever.
said.
No
said
way,
that
I
word.
loved it.
Oh, you did. Not until you
was
were like
cute,
10.
yeah.
I got like
Right?
shirts, and I just was so sad when I got them that I would often cry.
Or like a knitted scarf.
Yeah.
Well, that would
worse.
be, yeah.
Oh, such a bummer.
Yeah, they were always poorly knitted. Because while Mom was knitting it, she was, the arm would always be like really long. Because that was when that got late into the evening, and the arm just kept getting longer.
That wasn't the arm.
Ladies and gentlemen,
goodness.
God.
I think one more thing's up next.
It's time now for one more thing, and I'm going to kick it off by having a Christmas card of sorts with pictures for all the people behind the scenes here at Fox who keep us going on the 5. So here are some of my friends behind the scenes. Now, there's Perkins, who's one of the messengers.
He's great.
It's terrific. And there's Hadija, who's one of the receptionists on 17.
Lovely.
And my gosh, there's Rafid, who is one of the people that keeps the lobby looking
Awesome guy.
spectacular. Oh my gosh. And there's George, who was on the bus trip with us. Security keeps us safe here at Fox. And guess what? There are the entire team from the 5. And you see the on-air personalities, but so many of those folks, the producers, wonderful folks, and they really are a loving group. So Merry Christmas to one and all.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You forgot.
So
You forgot all.
nice.
Can you spin the camera around?
Oh.
Come on, spin the camera. Grab one of those cameras. Scott, take one of those cameras. There you go.
Yeah.
There's our
Oh,
guys.
there's our guys. There's David. There's everybody. All right.
Aren't you glad you guys wore
All
pants?
right.
First time you guys wore pants.
Yeah, once a good
bad you did it.
Yeah.
Gregory, you're up.
All right, shameless plug, short stories. It's Dana Perino, Greg Gutfeld, Larry Gatlin, January 28th, 2017, Warner Theater, Washington, D.C. Tickets available at Ticketmaster. It's a lot of fun. We talk politics and everything after the inauguration. It's going to be a blast. All right, now to this new thing. Greg's Sexist News. All right, this was on MSNBC earlier.
But first, Going Rouge. The holiday box office is feeling the force of the latest Star Wars movie. Your preview of that and the other flicks out there next.
So let's get this straight. Because there's a woman starring in the latest Star Wars, instead of writing Going Rogue, you write Going Rouge. If Fox had done this, could you imagine the outcry, MSNBC, or should I pronounce it misogyny?
Did they just make a mistake, or did they do it intentionally?
I don't know. Who cares?
All
Let's
right,
hammer him.
Eric Bowling.
All right, so tonight I'm going to finish a week of Hannity off tonight, a great week with them, with Newt Gingrich. He's going to be on, and John Bolton, we're going to weigh in on that UN Security Council vote, kind of sticking a knife in Israel's back, so we'll do that. But also today, Tiger Woods played golf with Donald Trump at Trump International Golf Course down in Florida. And go to Twitter and hit me up. I want to know what you think was said on that golf course. I mean, you guys have great ideas, and we'll check it out and place them on Monday.
By the way, you got to ask Bolton about this mustache controversy.
I will.
Ooh, yeah, follow up on that.
Lisa.
All right, so quarterback Matthew Stafford of the Detroit Lions is giving back to his local community, and what he did was essentially play Santa to two families of Detroit police officers who were killed in the line of duty. Myron Jarrett leaves behind a wife and 4 children, and Ken Stile leaves behind a wife and 2 kids. And I just thought it was good to highlight someone who's giving back to his community, especially at this time in Christmas, and also just our hearts go out to the families that won't have their loved ones with them this Christmas.
That's pretty sweet. Jillian, you're up.
I don't want to go after Lisa. It's like so selfless and Christmassy, and I'm doing a shameless plug. But it's a shameless plug for my mom.
Oh, there you go.
She's got a new book out. She's quite a well-renowned author and illustrator of children's books. She has published almost 200. There she is. She looks just like me. She's got her latest out now. I think we're going to get a screenshot of it. It is called I Just Want to Say Goodnight. You can buy it in bookstores or on Amazon.
Very cool.
Anywhere around the country. She has another one that just came out a few months ago called I Hear a Pickle, which has had rave reviews and is nominated for a Caldecott Award.
Really?
So
Jillian's mom. That's awesome.
So if you have kids in your life that you need to get gifts for this Christmas, you should hit it up.
I have some kids in my life, so I will make a stop at the bookstore.
Thank you.
It's called I Hear a Pickle.
Yes, and then the most recent one, don't say anything.
Talking pickles.
The most recent one is called I Just Want to Say Goodnight. It's very sweet. It's about a little African girl saying goodnight to all the animals where she lives. So.
I feel like you might get some extra special Christmas presents this Sunday now.
Throw in Lisa and Juan will be together with us.
Oh, yeah.
Cashing in tomorrow.
We'll duke it out.
Hey, you know what? Merry Christmas. That's it for us. Don't forget to tune in Monday, though, for our Christmas special at 5 p.m. Eastern. To all of you, have a very Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy Hanukkah to all who celebrate. Special